Well, hello, hello, everybody. This is Other Ink, where I, Matt Orr of Wet Ink Games, talk to some other creators about the ink that they're putting down on their creative projects. And I am so excited to be talking to both halves of Weird Works this time. We got B. Ho and Thom Denick both on the call. Thank you, Thom and Bee, for coming on to talk to me about Weird Works and your just gorgeous production values and like the insane array of products that you have in your booth and like TTRPGs and tarot and how they meet together and form amazing love childs. And it's thanks for being here. I'm excited to talk to you both.
Great. Thanks for having us on that.
Yeah, thank
Uh,
you.
I told you I was going to say this, but like I've seen your work is on my shelf since the Empress deck days, which we can tell what that is in just a second. And I've seen you at cons, and we've like shared meals at cons, and but I haven't had you on the show, so I was like, I need to rectify this and get them on here, because we've known each other for a while now in the industry. And actually, B, you're working on a project for illustrating a project for wedding games, which we could talk about a little bit at the end. But it's we've been connected as industry pals for a while, so it's good to like hear about get to this formalized process of asking you some questions or whatever. So I usually ask about like the first game that people remember, but like I think I'm going to broaden it out a little bit for you two because you do so many different things. Is there like like was there a totemic piece of either art or a book or like an object that either of you are like that's what I want to do. Like I don't know how to do that, but that you sat on your shelf and it was an inspiration to you. Like you remember something that was like this is from an earlier time, but that you were like this is what I want to do. I don't what is this? I don't know what this is, but I want to do this. Is there anything like that that sort of was an early inspiration for for you? And I want to hear from both of you. So I don't know, whichever one wants to jump in first.
I can't wait to hear B's answers because I have no idea. Being I've been working together for a long time. I That's a great question. But I'll go first really quick. Yeah, mine is kind of basic, especially for your podcast. Like it's definitely the BX box with the Elmore red, dragon on the front.
Sure,
Like
classic.
and just all the black and white Elmore illustrations in there. It just brought me into the world of TTRPGs when I was very young. And unfortunately, I never got my friends to really play with me when I was a kid. So it was like me and my brother playing. And, I always wanted to. And then when the opportunity came later in life, that's what really, allowed me to, that was what got, I was like, man, I really want to do this. I was getting kind of sick of working on video games. And yeah, I wanted, so anyways, that's definitely it for me, the Xbox. The
Did,
basic, clearly the red box, the basic
yeah.
red box.
Did you like take out the like did you study it and you're like, okay, this is a role-playing game. It has a book and it has a character sheet. And so you were drawing like, but what if I wanted to do it? I mean, were you using it as a model? Like,
Absolutely, yeah. And I've drawn tons of monsters and everything. And yeah, just we one of the first projects we do is a box set, so that was always something I wanted to do. I just love the idea of having all this stuff that you can pour over, and eventually I got the rule cyclopedia, and I would just pour over that, even though I wasn't playing, just looking through the illustrations, and yeah, that's really my inspiration, I think, from
yeah,
a young age when I was young.
sure. What about you, B? Do you have a piece either from a book or like an art book or like a painting that hung in the hallway? Is there anything that was like something that was just like that? That is what I'm reaching for.
Yeah, I think I didn't really get started in like TTRPGs until I was in my 20s. Like I didn't really know about them until like I was a little older. But I feel like I like when you asked me this, like the first thing that came to my mind was like the strategy guides from video games when I
Mm,
was young. Like I had video games, like I had a Game Boy Pocket and like the N64, but we weren't allowed to play like often. It's like, oh, you can play on the weekends or like, or when friends come over. So most of the time I would just be like reading these strategy guides and like imagining like what would happen if I played the game in my head and I'd like look at all the art. Like I had the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time strategy guide and I was just like in awe of like all the artwork that was in there.
mm.
So I think that was like really cool. Like I spent a lot of time like looking at the art and like drawing these like pictures from it too. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, that's it's such a good thing because I don't know if by the time of your era, it sounds like you're a little younger than me, but the I remember those strategy guides and they would map out like when you had kill stuff and go to the right games, they would map out like the levels on the page where they would just basically screenshot every level and you're like you go left and then you go down and then you go right and they had the whole map of the level on a two-page spread in these books and you could kind of follow like whatever game it was, whether it was Samus going through or if it was a Prince of Persia thing or whatever, you could study the level in detail at all at once on these two-page spreads. But like,
Yeah, and all the monsters too, and all the bosses, there'd
right,
be like information about them that you wouldn't get from the game, so that was really cool.
absolutely. But like
Yeah.
the format of that is like just basically a role-playing game already. Like it
Mhm.
is like it's so close, like strategy guide. I've never thought about that before, but it is like yeah,
A
that's
playing
there's
video game, which is kind of cool, right?
yeah, there's something there about like I don't think I've ever seen an RPG that's trying to look like a strategy guide that way, but maybe there's something there for the
Mhm.
uh, a future project.
Yeah.
Well, I think B knows this. Is I used to write strategy guides for Brady games. A little bit later era. I started Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, my first one, but I wrote them like all. I did all the Call of Duty single players except for like two. So I love strategy guides, and I would love to do a project that somehow incorporates it. We've been kind of thinking about doing something for one of the PAXs, because they're like half video games, but I haven't. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that would be yet.
Yeah, I mean, this we could just throw out all my other questions and turn this into a design session, but like
Yeah,
the idea of like, oh, here's a strategy guide for a video game that came out in it came out in 2007, right? And here it is 2027. And so it's this 20-year-old game and but it obviously didn't really exist as of PlayStation 1 or whatever. It just exists in this strategy guide now, and you could buy it and sort of relive it. And it's really a role-playing game, and you're recreating the game on the tabletop. But like, I don't know, there's something there. There's a good idea. It's not a bad idea to do
yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
There
I
is
feel
this
like you
guy.
could also
Oh, go ahead, B.
I feel like we could do this for like something in EO, like Eldritch Overload.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe an
Yeah.
adventure at least that's like, because we
Mm,
were eventually going to have like you're going into a Matrix type thing called this was Spark and Eldritch Overload. Um,
yeah, and
but
Eldritch Overload is like full of ARG stuff anyway.
Mhm.
yeah,
In the art cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Oh, by the way, Eldritch Overload is like our cyberpunk fantasy world that the tarot deck is like made from. So we're like making a game soon.
yeah.
I don't know how else
Yeah,
you would say it.
yeah. I mean, that's definitely. Thank you for that. Well, like, we'll definitely want to get back to that. But like, I want to go back to beginning, and like, I first learned of Weird Works as I mentioned from the Empress deck, the uh initiative tracker slash occult or not occult oracle deck that has all these gorgeous illustrations of character classes and monsters and stuff like that. And it was sort of like uh it was a very unusual project. By the time I learned about it, it was already like unlocked so many stretch goals, and it was like, oh, the box will now be gilded, and it now comes with alternate kinds of art, and also we're going to write a new character class and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'd be a fool not to back it now. It's already unlocked all this. It's going to be this amazing
Especially at
product.
$25. It
I know it was
was
a very
crazy low.
affordable at all, and then to be so gorgeously produced and stuff like that. So I did back it, and I have I should have brought it, but it's on my shelf over there. But like, was
a couple.
that's the first time I learned about WeirdWorks? But like, is that I assume that can't be the first project that WeirdWorks did together. I assume that you started somewhere else with something even smaller than that. I assume. So like, how did WeirdWorks? How did the two of you connect? Because you don't even live in the same cities, right? You're like, how did you start making stuff together as WeirdWorks?
So we did live in the same city. We both lived in Los Angeles, and we actually met at a meetup for board games. And it was the
Zombicide,
Zombicide
Black Plague.
Black
Yeah.
Plague, that one. And we played, and we kind of, we hit it off as friends immediately. And I was like, "Hey, do you want to come over and play?" I think it was Shadows of Brimstone was
Mhm.
like what we were playing at that time, and B had already played Shadows of Brimstone and loved it, so we came over and played that. Then B joined our D&D games. I had two running at that time. One was like this epic Temple of the Elemental Evil campaign, and the other was the Ravenloft. We ended up going to Ravenloft. I think we started in the Underdark, but yeah, these are all like these huge campaigns. And B was the only one that went to both sessions because
Yeah.
he's really into RPGs.
It was my first time also like playing D&D like or RPGs like for real. Like I'd played before in my, like in college, like a one shot, but this was like, the first time I'd actually like played and I was actually in I think three or four games and we would drive in LA like to all these games, which if you live in LA or if you know about LA, that's like a big dedication driving anywhere. So,
Right. Uh,
So
it-
B started to illustrate our characters or characters from the game I was DMing, but and I was like, hey, you're pretty good. And they were working at Jack Pacific at the time, which is a toy company. B can talk about that, I guess, a little more. But uh, I think the first thing we did as a company, we were called Kenku Press, and if you look on Kickstarter on our history, that's the first thing we ever did, and it was the RPG stamps, which are self-inking
mm,
stamps. And the reason was like at the time I was really into DCC. I'm still really into DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics, and if you were a GM and you GM like 12 games, you could get a stamp from them, a self-inking stamp, so you could stamp people's sheets with death stamps. And I was like, well, this is really easy because B only has to do like 9 illustrations. They were still working at Jack's. And it's not a huge time commitment from either of us. We just kind of got to figure out how to get these manufactured and we got permission from Joe Goodman to do that because there was nobody else making them. I think there might be one or two other companies now making them, but then we kind of
you asked
expand a
Doug
lot.
too, right?
What's that?
You asked Doug too, right?
Yeah, I think what so Doug Kovacs created the original Death Stamp, but anyways, nobody ever paid him for that original one, which he's still a little grumpy about. But anyways, we ended up wanting to expand it beyond the New Paul Classic, so that meant like creating a line of uh stationary products essentially, which like create auto journals in your adventure. So we have like you survived, you quest complete, and things like that. So we have like a line of stamps. We're currently on our second generation of those, but that was our first thing we ever created together. And
yeah.
then shortly after that, B had I think B, you might want to tell it because I don't want to. I know we have slightly different recollections of how the Adventurers Tarot came about. I feel like you did the Ranger illustration first, and we kind of went from there, but it may have been.
Mm.
Why don't you speak to how that?
Oh, I think, well, you first said, hey, let's create a new initiative system where you like draw cards and that's your initiative. And I said, that's stupid. I don't like it. And then Tom said, well, I was thinking we could make it look like a tarot deck. And I said, I'm in. So
I don't think you weren't that grumpy back then, so you didn't say it was stupid, but
Well, I didn't think because I'm like, well, there's already like a system for initiative. Like, why would you want to like change that?
yeah.
I didn't really think it would be like popular, right? But I think like having them skinned as like a tarot deck or an oracle deck really helped me want to do it, and also like then I could see the appeal of other people like wanting to buy the product, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I did not want to do it at first, but then when you said tarot, I like threw out all my other thoughts.
I
But we started with I knew I wanted to do gold foiling
mm,
um since the beginning. And I started with just black cards and gold foiling for like all the art and details, but it just like wasn't working out. Um and so I switched to like color illustrations and like gold foiling for the details instead. And I feel like I did the bard first, um and then like progressed from there.
You know what? It might have even been the Beast first, the original Beast illustration. That might have been the first one. Is
Oh,
that possible?
maybe.
Because that
Oh,
one's so
for the
different.
shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
we
that was
we
like a concept one, but I know I
yeah,
was like tinkering around with a bard first because I knew I wanted to do like the bard and like the fool, um, the
right.
bard as the fool card, since that's like the first card in the Waitsmith deck.
Yeah, yeah. That I was going to say that's the bard in the Adventurer's Tarot serves as yeah, like the fool, the analog to the fool. Um
Mhm.
so you've called it the Adventurer's Tarot, and it isn't it's got some tarot elements to it, like we were just talking about with the Fool kind of matches up with the Bard, but it is also called it is more of an Oracle deck, because it doesn't have the classic, 21 or 22 Arcana and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But it's also called the Empress deck on the box. So like, why these two names for that particular product? Like, is
Yeah, I
it
can answer that one.
Okay.
Um, Firstly, we call it the Adventures Tarot because tarot is something that like almost everyone is familiar with. Like even people who don't do like any like card readings or like woo-woo witchy stuff, they'll know like they'll have an image in their head of like what a tarot deck is. They might
mm,
even know some of the cards. But if you say Oracle, that's like a very small percentage of people who would know what that is. So we decided to call it Adventures Tarot, and I do get flack from this, but it kind of bothers me. It's annoying, but like I feel like it's more accessible language for people,
sure?
and then like when I explain it, people like accept it, you know. We called it the Empress deck because it's all like women, all females in
Mm,
the deck, just as like an artistic choice, but also like for representation, right? Like we have like a ton of images, like illustrations of like men in TTRPGs, but not as much like women, unless they're like scantily clad or something. So I wanted to do that. And then we also thought of like, well, maybe in the future we could have like other decks that are, either male or like all inclusive, stuff like that. So that might still be on the radar one day, but
Yeah,
I'm
we've
kind
talked
of
about a couple of ideas. I don't know if
well,
that's ever gonna
wh-
happen.
I really like everything you just said because like and maybe coming from toys yeah, I don't know, like you're very good with products. Like you are minded in a way that like you started with stamps and then everything that you were just saying be about like, oh, it has to be marketable and it has to be like at this certain level and people have to be able to understand it, and I want the gold foil from the beginning. Like all of those things, like it's your as Weird works, product design is something that I think you really push forward, and I think that really not every publisher is interested in making like high quality products that the way that you two are like, and
Mhm,
that's fine. I mean, whatever, but like I think that's something a real strong push that you have, and I think it really makes your catalog look really good because you're always like, no, like we're not afraid to make physical stuff, like art prints and stamps, and we could talk about goblin minis that you're working on too, like everything. I really respect that as like oh, put it in a box, like how much can it cost, like whatever, it
mhm.
belongs in a box, you know and so I don't know, I guess that didn't really lead to a question, but like I like do you is it something accidental from your point of view, or are you as intentional about it as you appear to be to me, to be like, no, it has to be something that looks good on a table because it's going to sell. That
Mhm.
seems to be behind some of your choices, but maybe you don't think about it. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a designer, like graphic design is my passion, that's my background. I do a lot of illustration now, but like design is where like I feel like most like excited about. Like I love doing like layout design and like book design. When I worked at the toy company I used to work for, we did packaging, and it was like a lot of fun, like, doing all these like different things. It's like very colorful, but there's also a lot of like cost-cutting measures. And, like I wish we had like a bigger budget for um making things like look better and more premium. So like what I enjoy about like self-publishing is like you can make the choices like of what you want to do, right? Like if you went to a like a big publisher, like some of my friends have done, they're very like strict about like what you can have, and like what your budget is. So like, my friend made a tarot deck and it's just like a very plain like, deck of cards. Whereas like I'm like, oh, I want gold foiling, I want this like two-piece like box, I want like a booklet inside. We even like talk with our manufacturer about like making like more deluxe boxes for people who want like something like more beautiful on their shelf.
Yeah. I, I, I everything you say shines through into your work. So I guess you one thing else that another question that kind of leads me to ask is like you've got a lot of I mentioned like how many different products you have and like it is it, it's I I'm struggling to even say like you've got these D&D and DCC and affiliated products like the stamp set that you're talking about and this initiative tracker that kind of I think that we've been talking about the Adventurers Tarot, and then you made another tarot deck that is like quote unquote proper tarot deck, and we could talk about that. And then you mentioned B that you're doing like a book that then expands that the lore of those cards into a whole campaign setting or whatever is what I understand. We can talk about that too, but like. It, you're not just making like zines and RPGs, or you're not just making RPG books. You're not just making like board games. You're doing like all of these different things. It's almost hard to describe. Like what is WeirdWorks? It's like it's a publisher, but also it's this art collective, but also it's this design studio. Like, how do you think of your suite of products? Like, as like what is WeirdWorks? What do you describe it as? Because you do so many different things.
Yeah, that's very true. It's like because I have undiagnosed ADHD. Um, so I'm just like I like to do what I want to do or like
Hmm.
what excites me, you know. So we do have like these books, these like tarot decks. Like I made the Eldritch Overload tarot deck because I wanted to make like an actual tarot deck for the people who ask me about like why is the Adventurers Tarot like not called an Oracle deck. So I'm like, I made a
Mhm.
tarot deck for you guys.
Right,
And I wanted to do like a different theme altogether, right?
right.
So it's like the two look very, very different, and people are surprised when I say like, oh, I made all these things because it looks so different. Like I kind of jump all over the place. Right now I'm working on like a Waffle Tavern zine with Tom. So, you know,
I
just like
I don't
doing
even know
little
what
fun
that is.
things.
A waffle tavern zine. I like it. Like, come get waffles on at the tavern. Like,
Yeah, I can go grab my like prototype copy if you want.
I don't know. You don't have to. I
You
just
want to talk
like.
to Tom?
Yeah, yeah, we work on what we want to work on, and it's been a lot of DCC because that's what we like to play at cons. So we and Joe Goodman had a lot of great support for us early on. Like when we did those stamps, he bought a ton of them from us, which really helped us out. And Yeah, so we really kind of jump around to what we want to work on. But I would say one hang up for us, if someone's like not 100% happy with something we've done, we really want to go back and fix it. And I mean, like, B basically did Eldritch Overload because, like, they were saying, because people were like, this isn't a tarot, this isn't a tarot. And, like, we got so much negative feedback about it being called a tarot, but being an oracle. And that's what we're like, we're going to do a tarot so people can't complain anymore. But people complain in our box, like, if you sleeve the deck, it doesn't quite fit. The
Mm,
box doesn't go flush, but it's sleeved, you know? This is
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
but
Because
it's fine. They don't fall out or anything.
it's more
But like
space.
we did a campaign last year, and that was like one of the things we really wanted to go back and fix and make people really happy. So now we have sleeves that will fit in the box. So we've got those like all squared away, and the deluxe box is designed specifically for that too. So, anyways, yeah. So B has our waffle zine, which we've been working on.
Okay. It's a work in progress. This is just printed out, but it will be like Rezo printed. I I see it's
Waffle
backwards
tavern.
on the camera,
No,
but
it's
it's
right way
like,
at first.
a Waffle House basically, Waffle Tavern on chicken legs, kind of like
Yeah,
Baba Yaga's hut. And
sure. It's like
yeah,
a
so there's like a little
menu.
stat block for this guy, a little like info about the Waffle Tavern, and then we have like a fold out menu on the inside.
Yeah, this is exciting. I love this.
You just
Yeah,
drop into anything, and yeah, if you want a fantasy
yeah.
waffle tavern.
And we have this one which will be like the base basically. And then we have like a secondary like franchise owners kit of like, some staff members, a map and like events for like if you want to like have people staff your party staff your like Waffle Tavern. These are some like kooky things that can happen like during their shift. So, yeah,
See,
exciting.
it, I mean this I have no I mean it looks great. It looks great. So thank you for showing off this prototype. But like this is the kind of like energy that I really love from Weird Works. We're just like, we're just gonna do this thing. And it's like it doesn't I've never seen anything like that. Like I mean, I mean, there are the little weird zines and stuff like that all the time, but like to do this particular
Mhm.
form and like it's great. It's great. No notes from me. It sounds great. I look forward to seeing it finished and out there for sale because that's a great thing because people will love to pick up those little weird things and just mix it into like their, you know, in between two other places you have the opportunity to go to the Waffle House on chicken legs. Like why not?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
uh,
the fun thing with working in B is like I never know what they're going to be wanting to work on. So, they're like one
Yeah.
day I log in a Discord and they're like, "Hey, let's do a waffle tavern." I'm like, "All right, let's do it." So, it's I can write pretty quick. So, yeah, we just kind of
Yeah.
get it out and yeah, we have that, like I can just kind of go along for the ride. But it's great for cons because we can kind of like put out because be so talented, they can do the art and the layout and everything, and I can like do the writing hopefully quickly so that they can get it all ready for a convention.
yeah,
A couple weeks before. Where this is for PAX West, which is coming up in
cool,
three
cool.
weeks for us.
Yeah, that's great. And of course, I mean, I haven't even mentioned like also at cons you sell t-shirts and hoodies and all kinds of stuff. Your booth is a riot of options when you go to see your booth at a con. Um, so it's always great. It almost does seem like I mean, and you can the way you were just talking about it, Tom, like it does seem like kind of like I mean, this isn't like bad either way, but like it seems like there's a lot of like what you just said is like, oh, B comes up with stuff that they want to do and that they're excited to draw, and then you're gonna write some stats or whatever to like put with it. And um, is that the typical way that it works, or is there other projects which are like, no, 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 I have this idea to do the thing like with the, and then
For our
you're
financially successful stuff, it's almost always stuff that becomes like that. For this, we've definitely done stuff that I've come up with the original idea. None of those have been huge hits. We've done a couple adventures. We did Terminator Pig, which is the big box set I mentioned earlier, which is DCC 5e, zero level commoner, like medieval game show, basically. Um,
you got
and
to like catch the greased pig at the
exactly, yeah.
county fair or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah, we bake cake for the king and survive death traps and all sorts of. It's a really fun. It's just 12 things in it. We're almost sold out. We did a DCC campaign for Zine in March, and I think the pre-orders on that have basically sold us out. So if that piques your interest at all, you might want to check our website. We have only a few copies of each left. And then we did Under Goblin Heist, which you mentioned. We have Goblin miniatures for that, and that was our idea is like, let's do a monster adventure because you just don't see a lot of those. And I thought with like Bee's art, like it would really capture a certain audience, but man, it did not capture it. Like
Well,
something
I think
about
online it didn't do as
yeah,
well as like we wanted, but I've seen like quite a lot of sales in person. People like they pick up the book, they think it's fun, and the miniatures as well. Like I really want to shout out Kelsey Kanaga from like Found Family Adventure Crafts. They like took my illustrations, my like flat illustrations of these goblins and like turned them into like these amazing like 3D models of
yeah,
our
it really brings
goblin.
the adventure
Yeah.
to life when you can pick up the characters and hold them in your hand. So that was a really fun project. It wasn't necessarily the most financially successful project, but you know what? Like I'm super proud of it, and I'm really happy with how it came out. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's really fun. I still run it at cons. I'm going to run it at PAX West twice, and it's always
Yeah, a
great
lot
feedback.
of my it's that's what that one's like a really great one. I ran it for my friends. I'm like pretty new to like DMing, and I've had other friends who like just started out DMing and they've like used that module or that game and they like had a great time. Everyone's had a great time with it. So, like I really like Under Goblin Heist. Um, and I hope more people will discover it.
We haven't gotten to distribution yet, so there's still a chance it kind of
Hmm.
gets saved in distribution. We'll see.
Yeah.
But we've never really. I guess with adventures, it's just tough. Like we didn't realize how successful Terminator Pigs was until we did Undercover Nights, which was not as successful. So, yeah, adventures are tough. I'm sure like because you're really only selling to GMs, which are just a
Yeah.
small percentage of your base.
Yeah, we've
Mhm.
never done Wet Ink has never published like separate adventures. Like it's always like we always mix our books with like although there are like with our Never Going Home series, like every book
That's
has player options, GM options, and
yeah,
adventures mixed into the book. So it's like always kind of every book is for everybody kind of is how we try to do it. Like and I don't know, I like you're not just selling adventures. You're selling like these kits of like stuff and like with the goblin miniatures or the box set of the pig heist or the pig catch the pig thing, um,
yeah,
the pig tournament. I mean,
tournament piece.
you're not selling just an adventure. Like you're
Yeah.
selling something that's a little bit more than just an adventure. So I don't know if there's a if you should count, you know, like I don't know. I don't be too hard on yourselves for like selling stuff. It isn't exactly just an adventure. You are selling something that is more than that. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Uh, so I mean, I like all your stuff basically. Basically like all of your stuff, right? So like I don't know what you want to talk to about. You've talked about you mentioned the Eldritch Overload deck and how that's a tarot deck, and then um I've seen like you already have a book out, right? About that is like the expanded version of like what the cards mean, right? Is that or was that just a sample that you had at some previous event that I was at? Or is there a book
We
already
do.
for it?
So what happened was when we did the deck, we had a codex that went with it, and the codex, the first half of the book was tarot, in-depth tarot guidance, because that was something people really asked for on our Adventures Tarot was to give us lots more guidance on the thing. So we hired a great tarot writer, Cato, and he went through and wrote these really good in-depth tower writing. It was Cato and Sean. Sorry, Sean as well helped us. But Cato's like kind of our. He's really really good writing tarot stuff. And B actually inverted a lot of the meanings on the cards, so that was really helpful. And then with each one, we had a short story that goes with it. And then we use those short stories or vignettes, right? It's not even a short story. It's like, usually 7 sentences or something. And we used all those to build a world. And B and I kind of talked about the world. And then we did a 5e supplement that went with that original codex. Um, and that was like super popular and it's really cool. But we made the decision like, hey, let's just make a tower reading guide. So we basically cut off the last half of that book, take out all the RPG stuff, and then we've spun that off into Eldritch Overload RPG, which is our next big project,
Okay.
which is a standalone RPG built off the smoldering bones of 5e, as I like to say. And so it's compatible with 5e. And the idea is like you could even bring your characters, your fantasy characters into this world. And that's going to be our first adventure is, they're lost in time and have to survive a game show in the future led by an
Ooh.
undead beholder named Ozor. And if they survive, their reward is to get thrown into the world of Eldritch Overload, which maybe B can talk about a little bit more.
Yeah. I, okay, so there is a book, but there's another book and yeah, yeah,
So
I
right
mean
now there's just a tarot book, but we're going to do a whole RPG based on it.
yeah, okay.
Something
So
else.
it's neat. Because like I have the box again. I should have brought it over there. It's on my shelf in that direction. But it has the little booklet that's in the box that has like, the basic
I,
readings and stuff like that. The little it's the same size as the card, right? So I
Mhm.
have that, but then yeah, I've seen the book. But like I guess talk a little bit more before I do want to hear about like how you're expanding it in like smoldering bones of 5e is a funny way to talk about it. But like what is it? What because it has this very you called it cyberpunk earlier. It has this sort of, future stuff, but it's also got demons and goblins and tabaxi and all kinds of sort
Mhm.
of, well, for legal reasons, it's not tabaxi. It's just a cat person of the future,
Yeah.
but like, it feels very much like you've put all of the classic D&D races into this cyberpunk setting. So like, which is a cool choice and it looks awesome. So like, I don't know, talk more about like kind of building that world and like what you're both West Coast people. I mean, that's where cyberpunk, like all the aesthetics of cyberpunk come from West Coast. So
Mhm.
like, is it just a natural for you or was there I don't know, just talk about building the world first off and then we can talk about
Mhm.
expanding it into an RPG.
Yeah, I think I wanted to do something like cyberpunk, but like not fully cyberpunk. I wanted to do fantasy as well because I don't know, I just like really like fantasy and I hadn't really seen that like mix. There is Shadowrun, of course,
Of
which
course.
I almost cried when we played because it felt like worse than doing taxes because I was like, I want to shoot somebody. Is it raining? Is there smoke? Is someone next to them? I'm like, too many guns. So I told Tom like if we do like this EO Eldritch Overload game, I don't want to have guns because guns stress me out. In RPGs, right? Like there's too many bullets. So yeah, I really like this like fantasy idea of like what if you had, like a typical fantasy setting, but like just like amped up their technology, um, development like super fast. Let me think.
Yeah, so instead of traditional cyberpunk, which is our future, 300 years in the future, 200 years or whatever, this is like, Faerun, but 900 years in the future with a bunch of technology that kind of mess things up. So they don't have certain things like gunpowder, um, and but everything's a little different. Like instead of corpse, it's guilds, and like our perspective is very medieval. Like we try to, whenever there's a debate like that, like do we bring this in? We kind of try to figure out what the medieval version of that would be because their timeline is shorter than ours would be in cyberpunk, I guess, for
Yeah.
technology.
It's also fun thinking about like the like messed up like cyberpunk um idea or like ideas of things like but put into this like kind of fantasy world. Um I think
Yeah,
that's where we got Ozor from. He's like an undead beholder, but instead of like eyes that have withered away, he's got like cameras. So it's kind of like that panopticon feeling. And
yeah.
yeah.
So we want to have like the Spark. There's a lot of VR and stuff in Bees art. So like I start to think about like how do you get the Matrix rather? As I think I said, the Spark is. We came up with the Spark, which is, um, this is not, it's speaking in D&D terms, it's basically another dimension, right? That you're going into, and who created this dimension? What is it? So that's really been the fun part of doing the world building is we have all that kind of like plotted out, so we know where all that is, and it would be really fun to let people hand this world to people and let them kind of play with it and see where they bring it and expand on it.
Yeah, I looking at the deck and the images, like it's got some of those cyberpunk touches of like the tall buildings and the like kind of the vague impression that like there's definitely a stratified society where there's like corporate overlords who are doing just fine for themselves and like advertising perfume to each other and stuff like that. And then gritty, more street level people who are like never going to be able to afford any of that stuff that's in the fancy billboards. I mean, again, these are sort of this is classic cyberpunk, but then there's you talking about it being more medieval. Like I could see how that turns into like it's not like a sort of a modern day concept of like a corporation, but like no, these are like the merchant guilds of the medieval era level
That's
of
right.
organization or whatever, except they look like the future of humanity or whatever. Is that kind of the stuff? Am I on to some? I mean, am I picking up exactly what you're talking about, or is that? Um,
Yeah. I think we gotta like refine it more. Like get more into the nitty-gritty because like I feel like with the deck I kind of just like had those ideas in there, but I didn't really like, make them concrete. And even with the architecture, like I'm not good at drawing buildings and stuff. So I'm really excited to have like my friend who, you know, did architecture and animation like work on these things because he's like really good at, like designing this kind of stuff. So I'm hoping it'll make our city feel more like this like medieval fantasy cyberpunk world. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I mean, that sounds great. Bringing in extra, like somebody to draw extra illustrations or map of your city or that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
That's so it really is. It's not just writing to explain the cards. You're really expanding it into a whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what our campaign will be, is like really getting a budget to bring in a lot of exciting artists. Artists we're excited to work with too. really blow up the world and create a lot of new monsters and world or things that in our universe. So
Yeah, and really
it's really
define the
fun
city.
working with B too, because B has very set ideas when they're drawing, and like once the card's there, like that's pretty much canon, right? So we have to figure out how to work that in. Like one of the things early on is B is like, I don't want magic in this world, and
Guns.
or guns, yeah, both. Guns
Well,
I can work with,
there is magic, but you have to buy it from the
yeah.
guilds, like
It's all
the manufacturers.
consumerized, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's really been fun to come up. I'm not going to go into it here, but come up with why that is and what that actually looks like in the world. So yeah,
I, I
yeah.
I can just, I mean, this is just the first thought that comes to mind is like, you buy your like magic missiles in the same way you
Mhm.
buy string cheese. They're like, there they are. There's like a pack of them. You get your pack of 20 magic missiles and you open them up and they fly out off to where you wanted to hit them or wherever. But like,
Mhm.
it's been, it's a product you buy from the grocery or whatever, like here I am. I gotta
Yeah.
go. I mean, I don't know
A
if
lot
that's,
of it is,
I don't know if that's what you're putting
yeah,
in, but like, that's where I
Yeah, it's more
thinking
like a
about that.
curry cup actually. So you get your curry cup of spells, and
What
it
were you
has a
yeah. I
saying?
mean,
disposable
just like
canister.
seeing how like everything is subscription based now,
Mm,
like you buy your printer, but you have to have like a paid subscription, monthly subscription to the company to print your documents,
yeah.
so it's going into this like really like stupid annoying like future of like everything you have, like your cybernetic like limb, right? Like you're paying subscriptions on it. If you don't pay your subscription, like it doesn't work
They
anymore.
come,
Same with like magic.
yeah, the
Yeah.
repos come and get it. Like that's classic
Mhm.
cyberpunk stuff as well. So yeah, but yeah, to apply that with magic,
Mhm.
it's pretty, yeah. So I look forward to this project. Is there anything else you want to talk about that particular book? Like what's you're putting the campaign together for this year, for next year?
We're
When
going to
when
try to
is
do it
when is it
this year.
happening?
We gotta really sit down and work on it. But we have, I mean, most of the writing's done. Most of it's been play tested at a few cons so far. Tested at Gary Con. I've been testing at my local con here. Um, we have, I think, enough art for the campaign. Maybe a little bit more we need to do. Some key pieces for the campaign. But once that's kind of all in place, we're ahead of where most Kickstarters would be when they kickstart an RPG. Like we have a pretty finished product. We just need to create a couple more adventures to support it. That's kind of where we're short right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's we just want to have everything in place so it's people are really happy to back when it comes out.
Yeah. I think settings for you know I think setting books are still doing great, like Crooked Moon. I don't necessarily have any knowledge about that, or I don't know anything about it other than that it is a 5e setting book that I just came from the from Gen Con, and it won like, I don't know, 6 or 7 Annie awards. It's like setting books for the biggest role-playing game are still selling, and there's so I think it could be any system, but you're going to be familiar with it if you're coming from 5e. I think it's still a great place to be with a product
Mhm.
like that. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we
go ahead.
debated going to a different system. We've kind of gone back and forth on that. But really, if you look at the cards and the art, there's a lot of 5e specific stuff in there, or not 5e, but D&D specific
Yeah,
stuff.
it's all
And then
the
spells, and
polyhedral
there's,
dice and the
yeah,
character
exactly,
classes and
dice.
stuff.
Yeah. So I think we end up, although it would be really cool to do a Daggerheart version of Eldritch Overload, I think we're going to probably end up doing 5e. Yeah, unless something major changes.
Put it on the as a stretch goal. Like, oh, alternate Daggerheart version if we get to
One
175%.
million.
Yeah, 1 million maybe.
Because Daggerheart also won a bunch of Indie awards at Gen Con last week. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
literally a
because
week ago at the time of recording.
those guys
So
just did a sci-fi, very colorful sci-fi setting as well, which did really well. So
yeah. Uh, all right. I don't know that I have. I mean, we've mostly just bounced around from all kinds of different topics here. I don't know that I have any other
So
If you
questions.
want to talk a
one,
little bit about light speeders,
Oh yeah, sure. I can ask you about
yeah,
that. So like
ask me.
Wet Ink is publishing a board game. We wanted to have it on crowdfunding. You were just talking about crowdfunding and having to be like ahead, and that is like it's even harder with board games. That's been my big lesson this year is that like you have to be so far ahead of where you think you need to be ready for crowdfunding a board game. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't know that it's going to get in before the end of the year, but you're doing art for it now, which is great,
Yeah.
B, and it is a tactical polyomino board game of placing, the polyomino shapes make your route of your little cyber bike that you're racing, and we are getting you to illustrate it for us. And because we've been talking a lot about Eldritch Overload, and like uh, more than one company has come to you and been like, the all this art in this deck, we would like more like that. I know that you
Specifically
also
motorcycles,
people love the
unfortunately.
motorcycles. People love the
sure, yeah.
motorcycles.
I don't know why I'm like the only person drawing motorcycles, so people are like, "We want you to draw motorcycles," and I'm like, "I actually don't know how to draw motorcycles, but okay."
Yeah, I've heard that from
It
a couple of motorcycle fans. They're like, what's going on here with this motorcycle?
Yeah.
it's
People like it.
it's it's not just for me. It was not just the motorcycle. It was the world, right? Of like
Mhm.
this sort of cyberpunk world that you've been talking about, and like the way that like head people have headsets and people have like they're watching holograms and they're like taking drugs and they're mutants and all of that elements is like okay, so like all of those same people could be doing this racing tactical game if the board game that you're representing is an actual future sport or something like that. I think it could take place in the world of Eldritch Overload. Um,
Mhm.
which is why we wanted you to illustrate it for us. Like just do more of the same. Like and we've got a couple of the illustrations that we've seen so far, and you're doing some more. So that's really exciting. I talked a bunch. I don't know if you want to say anything about it as well, but it's been fun to work with you in this new capacity.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been having fun like making these characters, going off of the like keywords you gave me, like their names and kind of like, you told me like, "Oh, I want this guy to be a dancer." And then like for some reason like I went into like, breakdancing into capoeira and into like this like shaman looking guy. So, it's like kind of like a wild ride, but I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah, you're pulling it's been neat to see you pulling all these references in. I mean, I had some reference that I sent you of like pictures of motorcycles and stuff, and
Mhm.
then you're like, "Oh, I found all this other pictures of sports memorabilia and frilled lizards and soda design from what soda cans looked like in the 90s, and I'm gonna spin all that together into like this animal-headed, teen idol rock star, you know, cool guy that rides the motorcycle." And it's like,
Mhm.
it sounds great. Only you could think of that. So like, just do it. Um,
Yeah.
uh, it's 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 been great to see your design process or whatever, which is like
Mhm.
again, I've seen your booth and all your final products for years, but to see like how does be work through these keywords and the I guess I'll say the keywords are also based on like every writer that you choose. These are character portraits for the writers. Every writer gets to break one of the rules of the game, so like their how they place their tiles and stuff don't have to follow one of the right each of the writers is breaking one of the rules, so they're slightly different, they play slightly differently, but mostly it's just it's more of to create a vibes of what character you want to be representing when you're placing your tiles on a grid. But yeah, it's fun to see that, and so we'll definitely be sharing more about that uh, as we get. I think we've shared one picture on the social medias, but we'll be
Mhm.
sharing more of those pictures as you finish, and then yeah, that'll be another. I don't know. I think it'll be into 2027 before that's on crowdfunding at this point, but
Okay, I
it
mean,
has
that's
hasn't
good for
been
me, then I have more time, but
well.
Don't tell the artist that.
Like, we want it done as soon
Terrible
as
mistake.
possible because we have to
Oh.
pre-promote everything. It's the whole cycle. But yeah, we'll talk about all that. But like, it's been great because like it is sort of
Yeah.
like a you've got such a vision there. I think that Eldritch Overload deck, especially, it just represents such a it's amazing to that you've done like a book about it and then another book about it. And you're going to do a whole RPG, and then like it's
Mhm.
inspired other people to other companies to come to you to ask for more race car driver type people because they see the art that you've done. I think it's represents such a lively body of work that seems to have all these roads and other things. And so then people are like, "Ooh, can I be one of the places where this deck is leading?"
Mhm.
So it's quite the accomplishment, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. You should be. I hope you're proud of like it, and I hope that you're like the attention that it's gotten in that
Yeah, I
respect.
mean, I'm definitely excited to see like more of these works, right? Like Light Speeders and like REO RPG. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I actually, one of the previous interviews, probably be a couple weeks before this video on the channel, but I talked to Nat Mesnard, who did Starley Davidson, which is the other
Mm,
game that you illustrated, did some illustrations for ninth level. So um,
mhm.
it was like I Heather and I were Heather and I were both like racing to come talk to you about like the the at PAX Unplugged one year. We were like coming to talk to you at the
Yeah,
same time about like your art. So
and the motorcycles.
and the motorcycles, yeah. It's I don't
Yeah.
know. I which would you
I
rather
also
have
did
people?
motorcycle stuff for Monte Cook games. So it
Okay,
was really funny, like everyone wanted me to do motorcycles.
it's that is funny. That is funny that it came out multiple ways like
Hmm.
that. Um, what would you rather have people ask you to draw more of other than motorcycles?
I like unicorns and, animals and, pretty ladies.
All right.
But I'm happy drawing like, whatever people want me to do. Um, yeah.
I have a potential unicorn piece of art that I will need in the future, potentially. So
Oh,
I'll
okay.
talk to you about that in when we turn off the camera. Um, Tom, is there anything else that you want to talk about like what WeirdWorks is up to? You mentioned going to PAX West. Like, what other
Yeah,
shows have you
so
got going?
our
What
big
other?
thing we should be talking about instead of Eldritch Overload is our we have a book for the Adventurers Tarot that is quite big. It's huge because it has all the tarot stuff and all the RPG stuff, which it turned out like people actually didn't wanted the RPG stuff with the tarot stuff. Like it was kind of a mistake to take out the RPG stuff on EO. So, anyways, we've corrected that mistake. This is just going to be a big source book for Adventures Tarot. B is getting FedEx the advanced copy of it as we
Mm,
speak from Hong Kong, and then as soon as B approves it, that will be shipped to us. I believe. I think it's already all manufactured, so I don't. I think they just want to make sure before they ship them all to us that it's okay. But anyways, that will be here in about 3 weeks, and then also in 3 weeks we have PAX West coming up, which we will be vending at. I will be running are three games, three published adventures, and two unpublished adventures, and one that is going to be published this fall. The Tournament of Pigs, Under Goblin Heist, and um, Quartz and Calamity. We'll be running those in Library of Alexandria, but also maybe on the floor. So just come by our booth. I will actually be running all the games. So if you want to run them, meet me, I'll be there.
and then so come to PAX West to see you guys play the adventures, and then maybe the books because you said like you're is it
The books
gonna
are going to come right around then, so we'll see if, yeah, hopefully they'll be here. Sometimes they get
right,
there quick. You never know.
right.
It just depends like how quick you can get on a boat and get
You
across
can,
there.
I mean, we often do the sneaky like air freight, just a couple boxes, and
This
then you have
company,
some.
they're awesome. This company is Vision Publishing. I'll shout them out. They're amazing with everything except for that. It's like $900 for one box to be FedEx expands. So
Yeah, that's pretty pricey. That's pretty pricey.
yeah, it's like break even. It's like what is I don't understand.
But then you get
To
the
Anyways,
just fly to Hong Kong
pre-promotion.
and pick them up myself.
yeah, send me over and fill up a couple suitcases, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, and then PAX Unplugged later in the year. Probably that sounds great. The PAX Unplugged in
Mhm.
December. We'll probably. I mean, Wet
See
Ink
you
plans to
there.
be there, so we'll see you
Yeah.
guys there. And yeah, I'm excited to see these other books that you're talking about because the one that goes with the Adventurers Tarot is a similar sort of like Is it, what does it have, like other character options? Does it have like
It's
setting stuff, adventures? What all is in there if
It
it's a
has,
big
so I think the biggest thing is like it has like an expanded tarot reading or like oracle reading guide because the one that came with the original deck is very small and it's just like a few keywords and a few sentences for each card. So this one has like a much more expanded one. And one of the things I really like about it is you could do like a card pull and there's like questions for each card that you can ask about your character's backstory. So
mm,
if you're like sitting around, like, oh, it's campfire time where we have downtime, or like you're making your character, you can pull a card and like find a really deeply personal question in there and, like have that answer like shape your character. We also
that's
have like other RPG things if Tom wants to go there.
Yeah, so the RPG stuff, I mean, there's a lot background. We have already had that class, but what I'm really excited about is we have these crit tables and fumble tables, and there's for martial, ranged, magic, and like you could run it really with any system. Obviously, it's for 5e, but like it's just gonna make your crits and fumbles just so much. That's like the most exciting point in the evening. So somebody rolls a 20, right, or a one,
Mhm.
and when you're like, oh, that does double damage. Like that's not exciting. If you start shuffling up a deck and drawing a card off the top, everybody is so anxious. They want to see what the card is. And granted, those can't all be bangers. Like if the deck was all bangers, that would be like blow up your game. But even still, they're anticipating something amazing coming out of that critical hit or fumble. And it works both ways. The monsters get to draw from that deck too. So
yeah.
yeah, I think it's that's definitely the highlight.
That
Definitely something I use in my games.
that sounds a very DCC thing. So
Very decent. Yeah.
bringing in some DCC to the 5e
I may
world.
have glanced at their tables a couple times when I was looking for inspiration, but yeah, it's definitely inspired by that. There's another company who I'm blanking on right now. They have a critical hit table deck, and that was kind of one of our goals. Is like
That's the one you when we played, right?
we used to use it when we played, and it was really
Yeah.
fun. Like one of our players once got amnesia for like 6 months in the campaign, and he'll never forgive me for that. He could never cast spells for 6 months. But it wasn't my fault; it was the deck. Anyways, we really like that. Like we like using. We want that deck to be a toolkit on the table where you can go to it whenever you want to do something fun on the table, and we have
Right.
something fun for almost any situation in that book. So yeah, we're really excited about that.
That's cool. That's cool. It does. I have played in a D&D game where we used the Adventurer's Tarot as initiative, like it is originally set up to do, and you get there's two copies of each card, so you get advantage. You put both cards in, you shuffle it up, like, you're increased those characters that have advantage or whatever has the
Yeah,
increased chance to come up earlier, like that's the basic premise of it. But like, so I've used it, but to have like a whole book where it's like, or you could be for critical hits, or it could be for backstory, or it could be for whatever. I mean, that is kind of
yeah,
very exciting of like this. You're consulting it all the time, potentially. Very exciting. Um,
yeah. It solves problems that we have at the table. Things that whenever I find something boring, like I don't know if you guys know about banana ball, but banana ball is basically baseball without all the boring stuff. So like my approach is really like if I am bored at the table, I want to figure out a way to make it less boring. And so, yeah, that's really what it tries to attack is like that's initiative is my least favorite part of traditional D&D. I just hate players yelling numbers at me and then having to write them down and then going back. And it doesn't work, right? It just doesn't work as a system. And there's a lot of alternatives, but I really think our card system's the best alternative. It's just very focused. Everybody's excited to see what's next. There's a possibility somebody could go twice in a row, which is always exciting. So, yeah, that's kind of our
and you
niche,
don't
I
know when
think.
the monster is going to go. Like that's another sort
Exactly.
of
Yeah.
uh, uh, tension at the setting. Yeah. Uh, all right. Well, you talked to me a lot about the stuff. I asked you a bunch of questions. Like we've mostly just talked about products, individual products, but that's great. I want to, before we get out of here, what is the place where people can find all of this stuff we've been talking about? Like can they, where can they see your stuff? Like what's your website? Where can you be followed on the internet? All that stuff.
So it's
So our
weird that
website,
works. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. B has done an amazing job designing. It's weird that works. Yeah, pretty much everything we have in stock is there, which is almost everything we've talked about today,
Awesome.
except for that book that's be here in a few weeks.
And on Instagram at weird.works.
Weird Dot Works.
All our
I
stuff's at
Yeah.
weird.works. TikTok too, but we don't do much TikToking these days or Instagramming really.
yeah. Uh
Maybe we
yeah,
should do some TikTok dances when you're up here for PAX West.
Yeah, we'll do that.
you gotta make those ticks and talks. Um
Mm.
it's easy. Weird Dot Works for everything. I love it. Those the new whatever those are, those new domains, right? You can be Weird Dot Works. That's
Yes, that's us. Yeah. We should probably get weirdworks.com at some point, but I think that's taken. I think that's why we don't have it. But
yeah, just have a redirect. It's fine. Um All right. Thank you both so much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, to get to talk through all your product histories and then like kind of talk about where you've come from and where you're going. Um, and yeah, just real happy to have gotten to talk with you. I want to thank you both for your time. I want to thank everybody who's watched this video. And I don't know, what's your favorite initiative, alternate initiative system? Put that in the comments uh, of the video so that we can hear what you have to say. Thanks, everybody. And
Thank
we'll
you.
find you, we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.
bye bye.